little about this. I woke Matt up just for this because he's the one that the whole time we've been talking about this has sort of been fascinated by how much interest you pay to this for a house, to the mortgage company or whoever you're paying it to. When you go to make a monthly payment on your mortgage, so let's say you borrow $150,000 and you go to make that first payment on your first mortgage payment for the month, and your mortgage payment is $2,000. Most people would think, okay, I now owe the bank $148,000. So if you hit the lottery that night, say, hey, I owe them $148,000, you win $148,000, you could go pay off your house. Doesn't work that way. So when you have this, this $2,000, that payment that you're going to make to them, only part of that goes towards the principal. And at the beginning of a mortgage setup, it's a very small part. So if this is your first payment, it might be like $100 actually pays on that $150,000. The other $1,900 is interest. All right? And I know that doesn't seem to make sense, but as your mortgage goes farther and farther, if you have like a 25-year mortgage, as it goes farther and farther, then more and more of that money goes towards the principal of the loan instead of the interest. So in other words, if we're doing this, you got your first payment here, $100 towards principal, $1,900 towards interest. The next month it might be $110 towards the principal, 18 whatever towards interest, and so on and so on, till you get down here where you paid on this house for 25 years. And after about 25 years, it might be now that you're paying $1,800 towards the principal and $200 towards the interest. But it goes that way for the whole life of the loan. All right, so if you make your first payment, you win the lottery, and you walk in there and you say, okay, I'm going to pay off my house. I just paid you $2,000 a couple days ago. Now I owe you $148,000. They're going to say, no, I don't think so. You owe us a lot more than that because of the interest that you owe us. All right? So that's the way this works. And that's what allocation means. Allocation means how much is allocated, how much of your payment is set to go to the interest, and how much is set to go to the principal. In a mortgage, you make a monthly payment each month. Part of the payment is allocated to the principal, not Mr. Eiler, but the principal of the loan, and parts to the interest. And we talked a little bit about this, if you have an escrow account, some of it will be allocated towards that escrow account. So it may be even different than this right here. It may be that 100 goes towards the principal, 200 goes towards the escrow account to pay your homeowner's insurance and your property taxes, and then only like 1,700 goes towards the actual payment. Or I'm saying it backwards, all right? So 100 goes towards the principal, 200 goes towards the escrow, and then 1,900 goes towards interest. So the bank loves for people to take out like 30-year loans, 40-year loans, 50-year loans. So here in a few years, couple of years maybe, Noah's going to be out and he's going to be buying a house, and he's going to go in there, and that bank person's going to be seeing Noah come in and just saliva running down their face because they know they're going to get Noah. All right, and hey Noah, if you take out a 50-year loan man, you can afford this $500,000 house. And Noah says, really? Great. And then by the end of the loan, after 50 years, Noah's paid like $2 million for that house instead of the $500,000. Usually doesn't work out real well. These three formulas. Write down these three formulas. I'm actually going to write them over here on the side of the board so that we can have them there. These are the three formulas that we're going to use. Time. The time right here, this time, every single time for all the problems that we do, is going to be 1 divided by 12. It's just a month out of a year. All the problems that we do, you're going to use this formula for part A, the first, switched on it. You're going to do the first formula for part A, the second one for part B, and the third one for part C. When they say the new principal on this third one, that means how much you still owe on your loan. Notice on each of these formulas, you're figuring this out, and then it's just, you're using that first thing you figured out in the next part. So for the interest, the answer that we get here is going right to there to figure out the second part of the problem. And then the payment to principal, that's going right there to figure out the third part of the problem. Easy stuff, right, Haley? So the interest is just going to be the principal. They're going to tell you the principal. That's how much you actually pay for the house. All right? Times the rate. Remember, with the rate, what do you got to do to a percentage rate every time? If it's 7%, what do? Bump the decimal over how many places? 2 places every time. So if it's 7%, it'd be 0.07. And then the time, we're going to just multiply every time by 1 divided by 12, a month. When you do this on your calculator, the way I do it on my calculator is I take principal times the rate, hit equals, and then the 1 over 12, once I hit equals, all you're doing here is dividing by 12. So you take this times this, then divide by 12. Once we have that answer, that's this number right here. They're going to tell you the monthly payment, so you take the monthly payment minus the answer you got for the first part up here. That gives you how much of the money is actually allocated, how much goes towards the principal of the loan. how much goes towards your loan, your $150,000 or your $100,000, whatever you pay for the house. Once we have that answer, the payment towards the principal, to find the new principal, how much you still owe the bank, take the previous balance, whatever the balance started at for that month, and subtract off the answer you got for this second part. All right, open up your books to page. We're going to do the first, like I said, the assignment's going to be like 1 through 15, but it's got like, each one's got like 3 parts. Page 386. We're going to do 1 through 6 together. So if AJ doesn't at least get 6 problems on this, we know not real bright, right?
I didn't know this was good.
What's the, like, just 1 through 8, you said?
One.
Like, what's like the whole?
1 through 15. All this does, 1, 2, and 3 all go together. 1, use this formula. 2, use this formula. 3, use this formula. So number 1, they use example 1 there. Look back at example 1 on the page 380. This is actually on 385, sorry. Look back at example 1 on 384. Number 1, we're finding the interest. Somebody help me out so I don't have to keep going back to my book. What's the original principal? How much did these people pay for the house in that example 1?
170,000, I think.
170,000, everybody agree with that? Yes, no, maybe? Does that sound right?
Where's it at?
Example 1. I'm not listening to Nathan because he doesn't even have a book open and he's saying yes.
Oh, we're doing the example one?
Well,
I thought we were talking about number 1.
we're doing problem 1, but it says use example 1.
Oh, okay, but yeah. 170,000, that's his mortgage.
No, mortgage is 280, example 1.
Example 1, it's
Oh, 150,000. I was looking down number 7 or something. Let's just look up.
how much is it? All right, let's look at this. It says in example 1. Does everybody see example 1 on 384?
Yeah.
How much is their mortgage?
280.
280,000.
Yeah.
270.
Oh, I'm sorry. They've already taken off some, haven't they? So it's, look at number 1. It says interest on how much? What's it say their mortgage is now?
Oh, I come on the concept.
It's actually in problem number 1. I think Matt had it there a second.
279.
279,
811.
811 point what?
47.
47. Does everybody see that? My fault. I confused everybody, didn't I? They started off at 280, but they've already made some payments, so now they're down to $279,811.47. So we got, that's the principal. What's the rate? Now we need to look back at the example to see what the rate is.
0.08.
So 0.08. And we're going to times that by 1/12. So grab your calculators out. Again, when I do this first part, I was afraid that you didn't know how to open it. honestly, wait till you get to be my age, I don't sleep well at night. So when you do this on your calculator, are they all gone? See if there's one on my desk up there. $200, take this number times 0.08, it equals, and if you follow along and do this the way I'm doing it right now, Nathan, you'll be able to do the rest of the problems on your own. You won't have to ask me any questions. So this times 0.08 hit equals, that gives you some crazy number, I'm sure. Then just hit divided by 12. When you're multiplying by 1/12, that's all you're doing is dividing by 12. What's that give you?
1,865.441.
41?
I rounded.
That's fine. So $1,865.41. What's $1,865.41 again?
Is that the interest?
That's the interest.
Can we pull what we, cause I got 1,858 in my savings account.
I'll try it again. Maybe, I don't know, because I don't have a calculator, so.
I got this thing now.
You got the same thing Matt got?
Well, that's what I was saying, I didn't know if I did something wrong. Yeah, I did, that's fine. I did 278.
Sorry, didn't mean to start with you. Just trying to help you out.
Yeah. Thought I did the right.
So that's the amount of interest. That's answer number one. Number two, we're going to use this. Payment to principal equals the monthly payment minus the interest. So payment to principal. Sorry, I'm not writing all these out. The monthly payment, we have to look back at example one. How much were they paying per month? 2,055 point what? 0.20. And all we're gonna do is that number that we just found, we're gonna subtract that off. So 1865.41. What's that give us?
$189.79.
Now, this is the part I want you guys to understand. Payment to principal. How much of the money that they paid that month actually went towards their loan? $189. How much went to interest? $1,800. So they're paying the bank $1,800 for that month, and they're actually paying less than $200 on their loan. When you take out a car payment, and it's the same setup. So that's your second answer. The third one, we're going to use this formula, new principal. The new principal, how much you actually owe the bank now. So Simon goes in tomorrow, and he tells the bank, hey, I want to pay this loan off because I'm tired of paying you guys. This is how, that's the answer we're going to find here. How much he has to pay them at that point. Now, for most things, there's probably going to be a penalty for paying it off early. So they're going to get some money, extra money out of you. They're not just going to let you come in and pay the $120,000 or whatever you owe. So this one, the new principal. Is the previous balance. To find the previous balance, we got to go back to where we started. How much did they owe at the start of this month?
Are you talking about, like?
How much did they owe for
Okay, yeah.
that big number, right? 279,811 point, is that a 47? Is that right? 8 And then the answer we got, the answer we got in the second part here goes right there. So 189.76. Really, Colby. Don't take the pass into the bathroom with you and bring it to me. That's sort of,
It's because of the sink. I said on the sink. I didn't see that.
sort of nasty. We're on page 385. What did anybody get for this one?
27962
279,621.71.
1.71.
That's our third answer. Think you can handle that, Tyler? Huh? Ben, any of that makes sense? No, you got a confused look on your face. How come?
I've got like 3 lessons.
On which one? The last
The
one?
last one.
So make sure, did we do the last one correctly?
I got this one times.
Maybe you just hit the wrong button. Try it
Probably.
again. And see real quick.
Well, 'cause I got a 9. I just put your answer, but when I did the
Oh.
second one, no, I'm talking about on the top, like the second one, I got it at 7.9, but I put in your answer for
So was I wrong up here? Did I write it down wrong?
That was right.
That one was right?
It might just be because I used answer instead of putting the full thing out, so it was more exact-ish.
But I did your problem. I didn't do.
Are we okay with all 3 answers then?
Yeah, it was really close anyways.
Flip over to page 386. Piece of paper. We'll give Colby a second to write those 3 answers down. Last line.
Well, I mean, like, no, with us, I went to the bathroom and you gave us.
I'll do it.
But, so I didn't go on my password, that I don't think I used, but maybe one of them.
Problem number 4. Let's run through this one real quick so you can get started. Says in example 2, so we're going to look back at example 2 to get some of our stuff. We want the interest. That's what we're finding first. What's the principal? They tell you there in number 4, I believe.
Uh, 58, the new one?
Yeah. I think it tells you right in problem 4, doesn't it? $58,252.
Four.
54.
And 36 cents.
26 cents. We're gonna times that by, what rate did they tell us?
They didn't give us
They,
It's in the.
it's in the example.
one. 8.
It's not a
Point zero eight.
What is it?
4.
0.08.
.08, does everybody agree with that? And then times 112. So again, on your calculator, you're going to multiply the first two, the .08 and the 50 whatever thousand there, hit equals, and then just hit divided by 12. Be nice, Haley. Be nice. So again, you take this times this, get equals, then instead of multiplying by 1/12, it's just easier to divide by 12. What did anybody get?
388.36.
388 point what?
36.
Anybody else get that?
Yeah.
Is that what you got, Nathan? Liar. Your calculator never moved. Here, I walked all the way back here. They gave me that.
They get the answer before I even type
That's why I'm standing up here doing nothing, and you're not even trying to type it in. I stood up here for 10 seconds.
We'll let you do the next one all by yourself.
So that's the amount of interest. That's the answer to number 4. Number 5, payment to principal. The amount that's going to go to the principal. We take the monthly payment, looking back at the example, what did they tell you the example that the monthly payment was?
2,055.20.
2,055.22 or 20.
Yeah.
Is that right? And all we're going to do is take this number and subtract it off. What'd that give you?
16.
1666.84.
166, 3 sixes,
Yeah.
.84. So that's how much money goes. That's how much money is going towards the principal. So looking at this, notice here, now you got a lot more or a lot less going towards the interest and more going towards the actual payment off of, or the payment to the loan. The last one, new principal. The previous balance, what's it say their previous balance was in the example?
59,910.06.
Does everybody agree with that?
Wait, what?
Previous balance. what was the previous balance? We actually, they told us here, didn't they?
Yeah, wasn't that the number that we used first? 'Cause then
That's the number that we use first, so that goes here, 58,000, that just comes right to here,
Where did you get that number at?
Something that's like that.
254, 26. And we subtract off that answer we just got in the previous problem. What's that give you? Hold on. We don't want to cheat Nathan out of being able to punch it into that calculator. What did anybody get?
5, 6, 5, 8, 7, 44.
Say it again.
5, 6, 5, 8, 7,
0.42.
Yeah.
Anybody else get that?
Yes.
So again, this is how much of the monthly payments going towards interest. This is how much of the monthly payments going towards the actual loan. This is the new balance of the loan after you make that payment. Those are the three things you're finding every time. Think you can handle that, Ben? Don't get scared, Max. So go ahead, the rest of the assignment, I'm gonna leave this up here. Those are right there. The rest of the assignment is what, 7 through 15? Each one has 3 parts. Alright? Each one of them has 3 parts just like this. Except on on the first 4, it has 3 parts. It's in the little chart and you're doing ABC, just filling in the chart. Then the ones after that, it has 3 parts, but it's a word problem.